Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 97 Republic YouTube channel, where I react to UFC news, live events, basically just anything related to the UFC. So I kindly ask that if you enjoy the video, a friendly reminder to click the like button. If you want to become a part of this channel, feel free to click the subscribe button. And if you don't want to miss out on anything, you want to stay up to date, feel free to click the notification bell. All of this really contributes to the growth of this channel. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy this one. On this week's episode of Top Knockouts, we have two iconic knockouts that are edged in UFC lore for all eternity. And when I looked at the list, 4 of the 5 knockouts we have the opponents or the knockoutees face down, which is way worse than looking at the sky. And we also see a few do the snail. Devastating watch for this week's top knockouts. Now, if you're new to this segment, basically prior to every fight night, prior to every pay-per-view event, I take all of the fighters on the main card and I look at their top knockouts. They only get one. So for example, if Alex Pereira was fighting this weekend, I would take his knockout over Yuri or Jamal Hill, his knockout over Sean Strickland. Anyway, he only gets one. So I basically take the best knockout of everyone he's had, and then I take every knockout from every fighter and I rank them to have a top 5 list. And if you've missed any of the previous episodes, you could just click on that link and it would take you to last weekend's one and the one prior to that as well. Anyway, starting off this list, at number 5, Gene Silva versus Melsik Baghdasaryan. It was February 22nd of 2025, this year. Right, so Gene Silva started on Dana White's Contender Series, fought Kevin Vallejos, who, by the way, young and exciting prospect, and won via unanimous decision. Received the UFC contract, and in his first 3 fights in the UFC, ended all of them via KO or TKO. Now, the Drew Dober one was TKO, doctor stoppage, due to the fact that Drew Dober looked like he was running away from Leatherface. It looked like Drew was getting scalped. So that's why the doctor stopped it. And on the 22nd of February 2025, Gene Silva fought Melsik Baghdasaryan, and in the last minute of the first round, caught Melsik Baghdasaryan with a left hook followed by a straight right, landed flush, rang his bell, Melsik was on the ground. Then Gene Silva, wanting a walk-off KO, looked at the referee, and in Mortal Kombat fashion, the referee wasn't, he wasn't satisfied, and he told Gene Silva to
finish.
And then Gene Silva proceeded with a few punches to the head and devastating elbows to the body. It was just, I mean, a great knockout. Prior to the knockout, there were a few slaps. Gene Silva tried to slap Melsik and a few high fives, and then devastation just followed. That is why Gene Silva versus Melsik Baghdasaryan is number 5 on this list. Then number 4, Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby on the 8th of June 2024. Now, Dominic Reyes started 6-0 inside the UFC, as impressive of a start as you could ask for with regards to a UFC career. After his 6th win, he received a title fight. Now, no biggie, just had to fight arguably the greatest fighter of all time, Jon Jones. And then Dominic actually proceeded to beat, he lost, but he didn't really. Anyway, after the Jon Jones loss, went on to lose 3 fights in a row as well, losing to the likes of Jan Blachowicz, Yuri Prohashka, Ryan Spann, and then Dominic had to turn it around, had to do the 180 on his career due to the fact that you could say at the time he was fighting for his livelihood, fighting for his UFC career. And on the 8th of June was scheduled to fight Dustin Jacoby, and in the 3rd minute of the very first round, Dustin moved forward, lunged forward, and Dominic caught him with a straight left that set everything in motion. that basically sparked the comeback of Dominic Reyes' career. Because then Dustin was on wobbly legs, moved back up against the cage, had a few exchanges, and then boom, knee to Dustin's head, fell down. Dominic just continued with the barrage, and the referee stopped the fight. And as the referee stopped the fight, Dustin tried to somewhat get away and proceeded to fall flat on his face. But then at least he wasn't out cold. He immediately turned around and didn't know what was going on. Not as devastating of a sight. But yeah, it was an insane fight, especially for Dominic Reyes. Really felt like he deserved a moment like this just to get back on track. Landing that left and then landing the knee, landing every single punch following that was just really incredible to watch. Was really fun watching it. And Dustin Jacoby is a bad man. He is a bad man, really gifted with regards to his kickboxing, and Dominic just somewhat ended up beating him in his own game. So Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby, number 4 on this list. Then moving to number 3 on this list, Nikita Krylov versus Ed Herman. July 30th, 2016. Now Nikita debuted all the way back in 2013, started 1-2 inside of the UFC. Okay, not the best start that you would ask for, right, with regards to your UFC career, but then Nikita turned it around, went on a 5-fight winning streak, and in the 5th fight, got scheduled to face Ed Herman. Now at the time, Ed was previously on The Ultimate Fighter, a really tough opponent, exceptionally durable. Was really difficult to dispose of Ed Herman via knockout, just due to the fact that he was really tough. And felt like if Nikita got this win, would be a good scalp for him to claim. And in the opening seconds of the 2nd round, Nikita threw a spinning back fist, which Ed Herman ended up blocking, and then Ed threw some wild stuff of his own, landing flush, looked like it would rock probably anyone other than Nikita Krylov, and like a younger sibling meddling with the older one and thinking he had the upper hand, the older one just abruptly put a stop to it. Just said enough. Landed a left head kick which sent Ed face down on the canvas, and it was beautiful. And the things that Ed threw looked like it would starch anyone. A couple of them landed flush. Nikita didn't even look phased, and he just threw his head kick and sent Ed Herman to sniff the canvas. Picture perfect, devastating, and Nikita's insane. I genuinely enjoy Nikita Krylov's fights. And this is just a testament to how fun his fights are. He just constantly presses forward. He doesn't care what happens. Even if he fights the likes of Volkan Oezdemir, the Magomed Ankalaev, he doesn't care. This knockout definitely worthy of being number 3 on this list. Then at number 2, Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. May 7, 2022. Now Michael Chandler got signed to the UFC from Bellator, and in his UFC debut, put a beating on Dan Hooker. Now sure, it wasn't the same Dan Hooker we have today, but still was a really impressive performance disposing of Dan Hooker. And it warranted Michael Chandler a title fight against Charlie Olives for the lightweight championship of the UFC. And Michael Chandler proceeded to have Charles Oliveira hurt, and then went on to what we found out to be in typical Michael Chandler fashion, went on to lose that fight because he did the exact same thing to Justin Gaethje in his following fight. And then after that got scheduled to face Tony Ferguson on the 7th of May 2022, and in the first round he got dropped. Michael Chandler got dropped by Tony Ferguson. We thought Tony finally put a 180 on his career. We thought we saw the resurgence of Tony Ferguson, the phoenix rising from the ashes, only to see in the opening seconds of the 2nd round, Michael Chandler not only recovered from being dropped, but pressed forward and threw a Anderson Silva-esque front head kick that sent Tony Ferguson to a planet we have not yet discovered. To say Tony was out cold, understatement of the year. Tony was flat. And then Michael Chandler proceeded to do backflips inside of the octagon, the same octagon where we saw Tony getting buried. It was just backflip, off the backflip, off the backflip. An insane knockout for Michael Chandler. Front head kick. It gave us that photo of Tony Ferguson, which I don't want to show because I'm a Tony fan. And Tony got slept. It was a devastating knockout. SportsCenter had it ranked the best knockout of that year. Now, according to UFC, Leon Edwards' knockout over Kamaru Usman was better. I agree, just due to the fact that it was for a title, you know, 5th round, everything that comes with that knockout. But that was insane. Michael Chandler delivering that front head kick, nasty. It was just a devastating sight, and we knew that put the exclamation mark on Tony Ferguson's career with regards to the latter end of his career. And yeah, number 2 on this list. At number 1, one of the most iconic knockouts ever inside of the UFC, one of the most iconic knockouts ever inside of anything. Yair Rodriguez versus Chan Sung Jung. November 10th, 2018. Now, Yair Rodriguez in 2014 ended up winning the Ultimate Fighter on the 15th of November, then proceeded to win his first 5 official fights within the UFC, beating the likes of Dan Hook, Andre Fili, BJ Penn. But we already know what could happen if you start 6-0 inside of the UFC. Now, obviously this was prior to Dominic Reyes, but you know, the same thing happened. In his 7th fight, Yair fought Frank Edgar, ended up losing, but then was scheduled to face Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, on the 10th of November 2018. And in this fight, as a fan, perplexed, due to the fact that I didn't know how the judges would score it. Even though I didn't necessarily have a dog in this fight, it was insane because Zombie had more damage on his face, but he was outstriking Yair, had more strikes, had more significant strikes. And when I say the last seconds of this fight, I mean the very last seconds. So it started about 13 seconds left of the 5th round. And heartfelt moment. You know, Yair Rodriguez high-fiving Zombie looking at the clock, knowing that this is probably going to go to the judges, and their fate was in the judges' hands. And they just started swinging for the fences, wanting to knock one another out, like Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje. And then Zombie ended up loading his right hand, overthrew it, was off balance, and Yair Rodriguez, as he ducked under Zombie's right hand, he lifted up his elbow, and with that he knocked out Korean Zombie. As Zombie fell to the ground, the buzzer went off, signaling the end of the 5th round. It was a thing that you would see in a movie and you would think, yeah, that never happens. As iconic as it gets, the awareness of Yair Rodriguez to just lift his elbow and the force that was in it, knocking Korean Zombie out. This is a Korean Zombie, by the way, who was probably one of the most durable things we have ever seen in the sport at the time. And Yair just lifted his elbow, catching Zombie flush, knocked him out. Zombie did the snail, and it was over. You're just emotions everywhere. Yair's corner just falling inside of the octagon, falling from the fence. Yair Rodriguez visibly exhausted. Just an insane moment that will live on in our memories forever. This was a piece of the UFC, and forever will be a piece of the UFC, edged in stone. And that's basically the top 5 list for this week. Let me know in the comment section, did I get the order correct? Is there maybe one that I've missed out on? Let me know, I'd really appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.